For all the latest news in North Central Washington, go to ncwlife.com or find us on Facebook. Got a news tip? Email us at news@ncwlife.com or call 888-2020.
Hi, welcome to Life with Lisa Bradshaw. We have guests today from Kashmere Middle School. I was invited to attend an event for writers, authors in our community, and I was committed to going until 2 days before when I found out about my son's sports awards banquet, so I couldn't miss that. So instead of being part of the talk show they were hosting at their school, and we'll tell you more about that in a minute, I invited the two gentlemen who were going to interview me at the school to come on the show and interview me on my own show. This will be interesting. First, we're going to talk with Shelly Milne. She is a teacher at Kashmere Middle School, and she is the brainpower behind the idea for the Write On program. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And that's write as in W-R-I-T-E.
Yes.
As opposed to write on like right on.
Yeah, it was right on, with a W.
So tell me a little bit about how you came up with the idea and just your role at Kashmere Middle School in general at first.
My role currently at Kashmere Middle School is I'm the teacher librarian, so I really feel like it's my, part of my job is really to promote reading and writing. So I had a group of 8th grade academy students, about 15, for a quarter, and I basically could work on anything I wanted to with them as long as it was connected with reading and writing.
And what are academy students?
Academy students are outside of the regular academic areas. Academies are sometimes for students if they need extra help with reading or writing, or if they need help with math. My academy students who had met standard and they're advanced readers and writers. Mm-hmm. So I had about 15 of them, and I said, here's what I'm thinking. Let's have a night to celebrate writing. What do you guys think that would look like? And they started brainstorming, and they came up with all parts of it, the logo, who to invite. I knew some, you know, I showed them some, I did some guiding on the side, but they actually wrote all the emails and set everything up themselves.
So it started with this idea of having an event, an evening. So tell us about what the evening was intended to look like.
It was intended to celebrate student writing, and we wanted to definitely talk about all types of writing and not just writing for a test. And we do a lot of test writing, but Kashmere Middle School, we are committed that writing is more than that. So we wanted to make sure we were featuring poetry, writing for to tell your story. So we knew we wanted that to be part of it. So we created a path of writing, and we got writing from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders to be part of that. We also wanted to give kids an opportunity to learn more about writing, and I'm not supposed to talk about that because my students are going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was a guest speaker at Kashmere Middle School several years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So Kashmere's always been really good about making sure that writing is for fun, learning about writing and writers and things like that as a profession or just as a hobby. And I remember I showed up thinking I was speaking to a classroom, and I saw the entire gym was full, so I was speaking to the whole school. And they were very, they listened and they were interested and they asked interesting questions. So obviously you guys are doing a good job of promoting that in your classroom throughout your school and district probably.
Yeah, throughout the district, writing is a big focus, and we've sent several teachers to the Writers College in New York. We have teachers going again this summer. We wanted to promote that, and sorry about not letting you know exactly how many people.
No, that's okay. I never asked. It didn't matter. It didn't change what I said. It doesn't really bother me to.
I think, and that was
5 people or 500.
Yeah, that was my first year in the library, and so every year we've had writers come in, and our kids always respond so well, and they learn so much. So we wanted to make sure that that's part of what we do with writing.
So when you think about an idea like Write On, so how much time goes into that, and what was the main focus for the kids and what they wanted to gain from it?
The main focus for the kids, it took a lot of time because we first started with brainstorming. What are the things that we need to do? If we want to have community members come in, how are we going to feature writing? How are we going to manage kids? They also wanted to make it a learning experience for students, so they had some workshops set up that kids could go to. It took hours. It took a lot of time. I mean, even at the end, we came in and we were there setting up for like 3 hours before the event even happened. And I think the kids, I'm not sure in the beginning if they realized how much time that was going to take. And they also learned a little about managing students. And so our 8th graders it gave them a chance to be leaders with our 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. And they really were able to rise to the occasion.
That's terrific. So when we come back, so you brought your students here today, and they're prepared to interview me.
I hope you're prepared.
She asked me if I've ever been interviewed by 2 8th grade boys. Nope, I haven't, so that'll be interesting. But I felt really bad for not attending, and especially at the last minute, so I thought, well, what could I do to make sure that they get their questions answered? So, of course, nobody but me has ever done the interviewing on this show, but I think that they'll, just spending a little bit of time with them already today, I think they'll be ready for it. So when we come back, we're going to talk with Sam Wilson and Dominic Harrington of Kashmir Middle School. They're going to turn the tables and interview me. We'll come back in just a minute.
Is your vehicle in need of a quick oil change or tune-up before hitting the road this summer? Stop by Quick Lube and Tune, the home of the good guys at 610 South Wenatchee Avenue.
Hi, I'm Sam Wilson.
And I'm Dominic Harrington.
And we're part of the CMS 8th graders, and today we are interviewing Lisa Bradshaw on the Life with Lisa show.
Very good. So, you've met now Sam and Dominic.
Yeah.
They're here today to interview me on my show because they were going to interview me toward the end of the school year at an event they had at Kashmir Middle School called Write On, as in writers. And I couldn't make it, so I invited them here to interview me on the show. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of fun.
You have prepared questions. I have no preparation. I don't know what you're going to ask me, which is fine with me because I do the same thing when people come on my show. I don't ever give them questions ahead of time because I figure if they're coming on the show, they know their topic better than I do, right? So, so whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll start. So,
okay.
One of the questions that a lot of writers at CMS asked was just what inspires you to write?
Usually life events. So they say write what you know, and for me, both of my books have been biographical, so it's really about my life and things that have happened. I do write some things that are fictional. My next book is actually what is called faction, so there's some truth, but a lot of fiction. So I don't write about, global warming or, let's say, baseball or things that I don't know a ton about. I write about the things I know, and it seems to be life events. So.
Yeah. So I guess another question was, how do you use technology when you write, or if you do?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even hardly write a note anymore with a pen and paper, which a lot of people think is a horrible thing. Well, I'm going to make my son write his thank you notes for graduation by hand and not type them, because I think that's a personal touch. So when you're writing a card to somebody, you use a pen and paper or a card, stock photo, that sort of thing, or stock paper. So I use a Mac computer. I used to have a Windows version or that kind of computer. Now that I've had a Mac, I'll never not have a Mac. And I type. And what I do is I don't worry about mistakes or anything. I don't type properly. So did you guys take a typing class in school?
Yeah.
Like 5th grade.
And so do you know how to type and anchor your fingers down?
Yeah, just a bit.
So I got my first typewriter when I was 8 years old. And it was a plastic typewriter, but it had a corrective ribbon. Do you know what that is?
No. I don't think so.
Okay, so when you're typing along and you make a mistake, it has this white ribbon that you can backspace to it, and then it corrects that mistake you made. It kind of can go back and erase that letter or whatever.
Kind of like a backspace.
Yes, kind of
yes.
like that, but it shows the white, but it can let you make corrections.
Yeah.
So that was my first typewriter I got for Christmas when I was 8, and then I graduated to a metal typewriter. Then I graduated to this computer that was kind of a computer word processor called a Brother, and it let me, type, but then it just saved it on this big floppy disk, and then when it was time to print it, it would print it like it was typing it out, so you could hear the whole thing. You guys probably don't have any printers like that anymore.
I don't think so.
So I used that for my first book. Then I bought a new computer for my second book, and then I bought the Mac when I bought the Mac when I started working on my second book. And so I use that. I type it, I leave it alone. I don't ever delete anything I've written the first time, even though usually I don't like it very much. Then I go back to it a day or two later, and I figure out that 80% of it probably works. And then that's when I make my corrections. So since I don't type properly, I type fast, but I probably have more mistakes than usual. But I started typing so young that I didn't have proper teaching about typing properly, so I'm what they call a hunt and peck, but I can do it pretty fast, especially when it's coming from my head. If I have to copy something from another piece of paper, it takes me longer.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I use a computer.
So it sounds like technology is a big part of your writing. So what would you recommend for other young writers out there to use?
I think it's whatever is comfortable. There are some people who still write out, pages and then go back and type them later. My dad has written a couple of chapters, a chapter in each of my books, and he writes it out on a yellow pad, and then I kind of have to decipher what he's written. So I think it's just whatever people are comfortable with. I think efficiency is important, so if you are efficient about writing on a tablet, a paper, with a pen, then that's a great way to do it. If you like to type and see it there and go back and make mistakes without having to do a lot of scribble and erase and rewriting, then that's a good idea as well.
Would you like to add anything? Or another question?
Add a question. Well, some of our students are struggling with writing. What would you tell them to do to help them
or encourage them?
Write more.
Write more. Yeah.
Yeah, write more. So the more you write, you exercise that muscle just like anything else. And I think having someone that you can share your writing with that is going to give you positive feedback, but also be honest about that feedback is really important. So my son has just this year started letting me read his stuff because I would be trying to fix stuff. And he used to cover up the keyboard so that I could only touch up and down and right and left so that I couldn't get crazy on editing. But we worked through a lot of edits with him this year, and he's realized the benefit of that, of having someone who knows a bit about what writing is, proper writing and grammar and things. So I think having someone that you trust that also is going to be a positive, give you positive feedback, but also be honest with you. So write a lot and be willing to share your work. Otherwise, you won't know kind of how that's bouncing off of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember one of our teachers saying to use older siblings because parents will always encourage you that you did good, or grandparents or whatever, but if you have an older sibling, they will tell you what is wrong, and that they will make it better for you because they've experienced it.
You're right. Some parents wouldn't want to hurt their child's feelings. Not me, man. I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with it. So yeah, I think that even a best friend or a teacher. That would be honest with you about that. So yeah, I think that's good. That's good advice.
Yeah. So, what put you on the path to becoming a writer?
I just love storytelling, and so for me, any way that I can tell a story, whether it's through this show or through videos that I've made in different aspects of my work or writing, then storytelling is I think. If someone asks me what I do for a living, I think I'm more of a storyteller than anything else because it goes across all elements of my career. So I just think that getting the opportunity to share my story and stories of others, then that is kind of what started for me because I've always felt like I had something to say, and writing it is a good way to get that done.
Yeah.
So
I like to express my kind of stuff like you do.
Right.
Sometimes in my writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you go about your writing? Do you write about life as well, or events that you're familiar with?
Sometimes I do, but most of the time we have to write stories about what our teachers give us.
Right.
Like assignments.
Writing prompts.
And all that stuff. But sometimes after out of school, I write my own stories.
I recommend journaling too, because that is a way to. You're very familiar with what you're writing because it's something that happened to you that day, that week, that month. It's nice to be able to look back and see the difference in your writing. I don't think I would let anyone read my first published book, unless they just really, really wanted to, because it was when I was published when I was 28, I think. And it's almost embarrassing because of the progress I've made. But I had an editor and everything. It's just I have a whole different way of going about it. So it's good to be able to go back, whether it's published book or your journal entries, to look and say, see where you've improved and where you still can improve.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would agree with that, but I am totally opposite. Like, I cannot do like real events or what happened. I'm like totally like fiction, like Harry Potter, Aragon. Right. I just love that stuff. I cannot get past it. So I know there's definitely other kids at CMS like me. So what, if you could give them any information on writing and how to help them, what would you give them?
Well, I think it's still important to write what you know. So if you know a lot about that topic, the type of writing that is in Harry Potter books and that sort of thing, if you can write about that whimsical fiction, then do so. But you might have to do some research to make sure that what you're writing about adds up. Like, you ever watch a movie where something happens and that doesn't really make sense? They didn't
like
follow the timeline
like a
or
book's
something.
made into a movie.
Yeah,
right, and so
like
you want to make sure that when you're writing about something like that, and I'm sure that, you know, the authors who've written these very successful books have had to do the same thing, because they don't know everything about magic and, you know, that other world that Harry Potter lives in. So there's that. And even for me, I've had to do research about certain things that I'm writing about, that a little piece that fell into my story that I'm writing about in my own life. I have to make sure that I'm accurate about information. So sometimes I end up writing about health-related things, and I want to make sure that the information I give is accurate. Right. So.
What do you think is like the hardest process? Like
the hardest part of like if like you have writer's block at a certain point every time, or?
You know what? I think that I avoid the block by not making any rules about when I write what. So I've written 2 books and I didn't write an outline for them, which I'm sure your teacher won't agree with. But I just write whatever is at the forefront, and then I can piece that together later. I might write chapter 7, not knowing it's 7, thinking it's 2, and it ends up being 10. So I think that having an idea, maybe a timeline, but for me, I don't make any rules. If I said to myself, okay, today I'm going to write the chapter about this, and I sat down and I was like, okay, that's like, I'm not getting anything. It's not working today. Yeah. Then what would I do, as opposed to just sitting down and writing? And then there's some things you don't end up using, but I think it's just, you got to be flexible about your topic or what you're deciding to write about. You have to be disciplined. So the discipline comes in sitting down to write, period. But maybe the flexibility is getting to make a choice about what you write about that day.
Okay, that's going to be very helpful for me, because I sit down and I'm like, okay, I start writing, get about paragraph in, I'm like, okay, but that doesn't connect to that.
Yes.
It's like a giant dot to dot and numbers are missing.
Yeah, me too.
But save what you write, because you can use it later.
Okay.
Don't ever delete it and go, oh, that's not what I'm supposed to be writing about, because then you'll lose that, and it might fit in somewhere else in your story. So give it a title, save it, put it away, whether you save it on a computer, save it on a piece of paper, and then pull it back out later.
Right.
You could almost always find a place for it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I struggle a lot with that too also.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to...
Well, I think writer's block is a pretty common thing. I mean, they make entire movies and everything about that. So, yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so, do you think it's time? I think it's time for the final question.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You think?
All right. Okay. Here's the big one.
Okay.
Do you like bananas?
No, I'm allergic.
You're allergic to bananas?
Yes, I actually wasn't allergic. I gradually became allergic. Our allergies cycle like every 7 years.
Yeah.
So I would eat a banana and my tongue would itch a little bit. And that's a sign of getting allergic. However, I did make banana bread a couple months ago, and I ate almost the entire loaf, and I didn't get hurt. So, I mean, there's that. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of bananas. I used to. I read a book once called Food as Medicine when I was going through chemotherapy when I had cancer years ago, and I was trying to really eat healthy and figure out how to best heal my body. And the author said if he were stranded on a deserted island and it could only have 2 things, it'd be water and bananas, because bananas have so much health benefits.
And potassium.
Yeah. So.
I'd say my sister has the exact same thing. Like, she used to have bananas. Like, we'd go to the store every day and buy them.
Yes.
I guess we can't share a sandwich now.
Yes.
I have peanut butter banana right now.
Yeah, so
I'm
that's
sorry.
good. Yeah. That's it. That was your big, scary question.
That
was easy breezy. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Good. I hope I was trying to make up for not being there. You never want to cancel anything. That's another bit of advice. 2 days before you're supposed to be somewhere. But if you have a kid who has a big event, then you choose your kid.
All right.
All right.
I'll take that as good advice.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll be back in just a minute.
Have a fun video you'd like to see featured on NCW Life? Email us at newsphotos@ncwlife.com.
Hi, we're back on Life with Lisa Bradshaw. Right now we're going to be talking with Heather Griffith and her son Keith. I saw their story on Facebook. It's a heartwarming story about Keith getting accepted to college. Thanks for being here, Heather. I know you're sitting in a car in sweltering hot Alabama trying to get good service for Skype, so thanks for being a trooper.
That's fine, thank you.
So tell us quickly about the experience of Keith applying for college. We're going to let him talk about his excitement about being accepted, but what was the process for application?
Actually pretty easy, easier than I thought it would be. A friend of ours that works there had notified me about it, so wanted to know if he was interested in it, and I said of course, because that's all he's talked about since his freshman year. So we filled out the application, turned it in, and a few weeks later we got our letter.
So so Keith has Down syndrome. He attended Satsuma High School, and he's been accepted to University of Southern Alabama's Passage program. What is Passage program exactly?
It's a program for children with disabilities. I'm sorry, children, for young adults with disability, to teach them life skills and work skills, just to help them live through daily life.
Mm-hmm. And so does he go away for that? Will he be living away from home?
Oh, no. He will stay at home with Mama.
I have one leaving for college this fall as well, but he actually goes away. So, yeah, we're on the same path here.
Open it up, buddy. Let's see if you got in. Are you excited?
I love you.
I love you. Let's see what it says. Do what? What's it say? Dear Keith, congratulations, you have been admitted into Passage USA Certificate Program for the fall 2017 semester. Classes will start on Wednesday, August 16, 2017. What about that, buddy?
I made it.
You made it. Are you going to college? I'm so proud of you. I love you.
Hi, we just watched the video. We are talking with Heather Griffith and her son, Keith Griffith. He was accepted to University of Southern Alabama. We watched the very heartwarming video of his mom recording his reaction to his acceptance. Thanks for being here, Keith.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a famous guy.
Yes.
Lots of people know who you are from your story. It's so great your mom recorded your reaction. So are you excited about going to college?
Yes, ma'am. I'm so happy.
Your mom says you've been talking about it for a long time.
Yes.
What do you think it'll be like at college? Do you think it'll be different than high school?
Nah.
Nah.
Kind of the same. But
They're the
better,
same.
right? You're growing up and getting to go to college. That's a very exciting accomplishment for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So you must have a pretty amazing mom to record your reaction, and she's so excited for you and helped you apply to college. Anything you want to say about your mom?
I love her so much every time. I'm my best friend.
Oh, that's sweet. And anything you want to say to people who are like yourself, who want to go to college and are excited about learning? Any advice you give?
Tell them don't give up and follow their dreams.
Don't give up. No harm trains.
Follow your dreams.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life community calendar at ncwlife.com.